In that sense, what do you think went wrong in the euro model, the ECB, and what's happening in Greece today? To what extent was cooperation or lack of cooperation a reason for what's going on today?
I think nothing went wrong in the euro model when it comes to the monetary policy side, which is highly integrated and was extremely efficient during the crisis. What went wrong in the Greek case is not the monetary side of EMU, but the economic side. And the economic side was still segmented. And there might have been insufficient coordination in the area of fiscal policy, where we have a framework. But the framework even has sanctions. But for a reason that remains to be elucidated, these sanctions never came to play. So to some extent the peer pressure did not go to the extreme ratio that was foreseen by the framework. So from that point of view, I think the framework ought to be adjusted. A second element that might have been missing was a crisis resolution regime. We have now created a crisis resolution regime. But this should be formalized and to some extent this must be a standard model and should not be each time changed or adjusted. But the third point is that beyond the fiscal side, beyond the crisis resolution, I think there is also a need to have a stronger framework to prevent imbalances from happening. As I said, we have already possible sanctions in the framework, but these sanctions came not to bearing because those who were deciding were peers, and the peers never sanctioned the peer. So we have to see how this framework has to be changed, and probably we also need macroeconomic rules which ought to be implemented maybe by the Commission or we have to see how it goes.
Isn't it true that in any jurisdiction, that relationship between the central bank, the government of the day, and the prudential supervisor is central to a holistic and a healthy economy in that sense? And what probably went wrong with the Greek experience is really that the government was moving in one direction and the central bank was moving in another direction.
Well, in the Greek case, I must say that apparently the central bank was also not aware of the weakness of the statistics. And this was one initial weakness which has also been extremely destructive in terms of confidence.
As a central banker in the EU realm, how comfortable are you that you have in your hands the tools to manage your own economy's competitiveness and be at the same time a part of the EU?
Well, it's very easy. It's exactly the same as if you would be a small open economy and you would unilaterally say, I do not make monetary policy because our currency is too weak. So I have a currency board, and that is exactly the same situation. So whether you have a single currency, you don't do monetary policy for national economic purposes, which leaves you with other instruments. And those other instruments are, of course, income policy and fiscal policy. So if you do not have monetary policy and you don't want to make errors in national monetary policy making, it's the same. But then you must have a much more stringent fiscal policy and also take great care on cost competitiveness and price competitiveness, and you must not have inflation that is beyond the average of the other countries.
How do you